I'm Dr. Timothy Hoover. I'm taking it to the house. I want to welcome you to another edition of a fantastic show that we love to do. We love performing, having fun. Last week, if you saw the show, we talked about the Dodgers, and it was well-deserved, but today, we're going to talk NFL, man. It's already mid-season. You believe that? So we want to know who's the cream of the crop, who's the pretenders, who's the contenders. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about mid-season MVP and Rookie of the Year candidates. Certainly want to hear what you think about that. If you saw last Thursday's game, the Ravens and the Bengals game, wow, what a game. Jamar, oh my goodness, and Joe on a losing team. But we'll get some more into that. Are the Steelers for real? We'll talk about that a little bit more as well. And CMAC is back in the Bay. How does that change the dynamics of the San Francisco 49ers? Let's talk about it. Starting at the top, pretenders, contenders. Well, early on, man, the Minnesota Vikings, they started out 5-0. Kansas City Chiefs, still undefeated. We thought about at early, was that for real? Is that believable? Is it sustainable? Well, we're now no longer talking about, we got a great enough sample size to tell who's the cream of the crop. In the AFC, it's no doubt. And they are who their records say they are. Yeah, we had this discussion before. We said Ravens, we said Chiefs, and some of y'all don't know which way you going. And I said at the time, Ravens was the cream of the crop. Not so fast. I have the ability to change my mind, and I'm changing my mind. It is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are who their records say they are. And on top of that, they have all phases of the game. They got the offense, they got the special teams, and they got defense. That's what separates them from anybody else in the AFC. Yeah, I know the Ravens are very good. I know Lamar Jackson is probably the MVP. We'll talk about a little bit more about that. But what the Ravens don't have is defense. They're getting scored upon. So they're really having to rely on outscoring the opposition. The Chiefs, on the other hand, all they have to do, and Patrick Mahomes is capable of carrying the game, he just has to maintain a game. Don't lose a game. And people have been talking about a game manager, an NFL quarterback as a game manager. Heck, Tom Brady did that for 6 championships. There is nothing negative about being a game manager. There's nothing wrong with that at all. How about not losing the game, being conscientious of situation, time, and distance, down and distance as well, and being in sync with your coach? That's cool. That's all right. That's great. But you don't have to win the game because your defense and special teams are doing that for you. So Kansas City, for me, and we're going to stay in the AFC right now, they are contenders. You cannot discount Baltimore because, again, I believe the MVP of the league will be Lamar. You got Tutu Train back there, Derrick Henry, and he has weapons with Andrews and likely at the tight ends positions, and throw it out the flowers. And so the offense is not the problem for Baltimore; it's their defense, and I alluded to that a little bit earlier. That's the reason why, Tim, I ranked them second in the AFC. Well, who else is in the AFC? Well, the Bills. You got Josh Allen, and he's going to be considered in the MVP considerations. He will be considered, but they're still not quite believable. Yeah, we should be able to say they are above, yeah, the Jets, yes, Miami. Neither of those have shown to be anybody in the AFC East, correct. Are they better than the Steelers? They are probably on par with the Steelers. So I would put the Bills and the Steelers as 3 and 4. You can interchange them 3 or 4. And I'm not going to go any deeper than that. Earlier, my co-host was talking about out of the AFC North, there are going to be 3 teams that make the playoffs. Well, the Bengals are good enough to make that run. And we got the Steelers, you got the Ravens. Ravens clearly are cut above. Steelers are a surprise, surprise, surprise. Now look at Mike Tomlin. Look at what had going on with Justin Fields, new quarterback, new system coming over, and they were winning, but they weren't dynamic. And he's a defensive-minded coach, and Cowherd is really on what kind of coach do you have will determine how successful you are as a team. And I have kind of believed him. You know, you got a defensive minded coach, you kind of lose track of what's going on, and you don't pay a lot of attention to the offensive side. The reason why I set it up that way is he went to the offensive side and said, "Yeah, Justin Fields, for the Steelers, I'm talking about, you're good, but we're not wow. You're not popping. We don't know if you're or we're at our best. Let's try out and get Russell Wilson in there. Let's give it a try." And I love Tomlin because he went. Most people wouldn't do that, especially a defensive-minded coach, because you like to just manage a game. Let's run the ball. Let our defense win. Game manager as a defensive coach. But he wanted a little bit more pizzazz. He wanted a little more than vanilla, and Justin Fields was giving them vanilla. So Justin Fields is dynamic runner. He's a dynamic athlete. Well, Russell Wilson is the quarterback, especially when it comes to the deep ball and reading the defense and anticipating the throw. Instead of waiting for the guy to get open, Russell Wilson can actually throw to where the guy is supposed to be and throw him open. That's a huge difference. So my AFC contenders, the two at the top are the Ravens and the Chiefs, and not in that order. So I should say Chiefs and Ravens. And the contenders slash pretenders are the Bills and the Steelers, and that's the AFC. Humble, the humblest of opinions. There is nobody in the NFC class with the Lions. The Lions, they will get down and dirty with you. They will beat you up. It will be a nosebleed. It will be a brawl. It will be a fight in the alley. And they don't mind doing that. This past, was it Sunday night? Uh, Lions against the Texans, 5 picks. And Jared Goff did not look very good. And yet they still end up winning the game. And when you're a good team, you win ugly. It's not always going to be pretty. It's going to be uh, eating and biting off kneecaps. That's what you're going to have to do because sometimes it's just not your moment, whether it's a quarter, a half, or 3 quarters, but it's not the game. And they have talent on the offensive side at every position. And their defense is pretty solid. Now they're not I'm not even going to go Super Bowl yet. We're gonna save that for later. But it's exciting to see they are not the Lions of old. They're not your granddaddy's Lions. These guys are coming into your stadium and they're coming to take your lunch. And they're willing to put everything on the line. They are very hungry Lions. So, cream of the crop, NFC, is going to be the Lions. Well, after that, everybody else to me is pretenders. Yeah, I know what Minnesota looked like in the beginning where they started off 5-0, but since then, Sam Darnold has not, he has been exposed, belly up, and they're not dominating anybody. Their defense is not intimidating anybody anymore like they were early in the season. And they are finding that they're struggling to win games. They are the better team more often than not, whoever they're playing against, but they are struggling to win these games. But Green Bay, I would have to put Green Bay in there. And you know what? You could never count out San Francisco, but I cannot include them, not even in the pretenders. You know who I'm going to sneak into my fourth spot is Arizona, Kyler Murray, and their offensive scheme. I love McBride as their tight end. I love, can't even think of his name, the wide receiver just came out of Ohio State. Wow, it'll come to me, but what they're doing, what they're doing is sneaky, sneaky good. And Kyler seemingly cannot be stopped except by Kyler. So I'm talking about the Arizona Cardinals. So going with the NFC, we got the Lions, we got Minnesota. I like Green Bay, and my sneaky good is Arizona. I mentioned the 49ers. Well, you got CMAC back. He's been out for, man, he hasn't played at all this season. And what are the 49ers, 4-5, I believe is what they are. And really, if you look at the past couple of seasons, they're on par with the past couple of seasons, and they were dominant. Then they made a nice little run. And so it's good for the 49ers and 49er fans, but him singularly is not going to make a difference. But it is enough of a difference because you still got a healthy Debo. And I know Ayuk is hurt. I know he will not play again this season. But they can plug and play at that other receiver who can take the top off the defense. So Brock Purdy, he's been exposed as well. And he's going to have to figure out the how to play the game. And I think he's been exposed, but it's not just him. It's the 49er scheme. Yes, they are older, but a lot of people run the 49er offense in the league. So it's not a novelty to see the 49ers and how they scheme up. So Kyle Shanahan, the coach, you're going to have to scheme up, help Kyle. You're going to have to help Purdy out quite a bit, and don't get cute all the time. You got CMAC, you don't have to get cute. Just you got Kittle over there. I say use Kittle some more. Debo, when you do the jet sweep, yeah, it's still formidable, but I think you just need to make and keep it simple on the offense. And I gotta mention San Francisco because they have been the top of the NFC for so many seasons, and I expect them to make a run. But I cannot include them in my contenders until they make that run. So the NFC again: Lions, Minnesota, Green Bay, and I'm going to say Arizona. Interesting. I know you may not agree. That's okay. But I certainly would like to hear what you think. Going to the Thursday night game last week, we had the Ravens and we had the Bengals, man. And I thought, okay, NFC North division game, rivalry game. I plugged in. And when I plug in, I put down the phone. I have no distractions. I'm just watching the game. Game started out just like you expect. Bam, bam, snot nose, little cool out, dust, three yards and a pile of dust, right? And then the second half started. Jamar Chase got going. Joe Burrow got going. Yeah, I'll mention Lamar later. But how do you not double Chase? How do you not do it? How do you not double him? T. Higgins is hurt. You don't have a Tyler Boyd no more in the slot. The only person that's going to beat you is Jamar. And how can you let him just get free? Well, maybe it's the scheme. Maybe it's Jamar being that good. He can find the holes in the defense. Maybe it's Joe Burrow and he being in such a sync that he just gets open. So I just wanted to say, and it caught my attention because of how many yards those two had together, how many TDs they had together, and they still end up losing the game. It's more of an indictment against Cincinnati than it is that the Ravens beat them, and the Ravens did enough. Lamar did enough to win the game, but you got scored on quite a bit. And man, we talked about it here before when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed were back there. All they needed was 20 points, and they were going to take care of the rest. Well, that's long gone. That's years gone by. The Ravens need to score, and guess what? They're capable of doing that. So I want to mention Lamar. I've been mentioning Lamar. He is my MVP. I said that before. He is. And what separates him and what's different this year than years past? What's different this year, in my opinion, is when he gets to the line of scrimmage, he's not in a hurry. He is looking at the defense. He's audibilizing. He's changing line calls, which is your protection at the line of scrimmage. And he's calling audibles for more successful play. He wasn't doing that before. I think he's actually calling plays at the line of scrimmage. So he has more control of the offensive playbook and what play is actually ran. I love it. He's now a very good quarterback. He's not just an athlete. He's a very good quarterback, and he's distributing the ball equally. Wide receivers, running backs out of the backfield, uh, sideline throws, deep throws, crossing patterns. He's making all the throws, and then on top of that, he can pull it down and he can run. So is he going to be like Aaron Rodgers and have 4 MVPs? Well, there's nothing wrong with that because Aaron Rodgers actually had 4 MVPs and he's got a Super Bowl. So if that's the model, great for Lamar. I think he's going to win another MVP, but I don't think that's what he's seeking. Matter of fact, I don't think any player is looking for MVPs. Everybody wants that chip and that ring. And this may be his best chance of getting that. Yes, you're going to have to go through, eventually you have to go through Kansas City because I think all things must go through the king. And that is Kansas City. So to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. I mentioned the most valuable player. Now, rookie of the year. We're at midseason, so rookie of the year, it has to be mentioned or thought about or talked about. We're going to take this opportunity to talk about it. Yeah, now who's out there? There's only one that stands out. Yeah, I know you got Caleb Williams as quarterback up there in Chicago, but the record and his play don't even deserve more than a mention. But you got your boy Jaden Daniels down there, man, and in Washington. I didn't see it coming, but I'm so proud to see another black quarterback handling the doggone business, as they call him, the CEO of the team. I love his humility. I love his hunger, his thirst to be better. And I love when the coaching staff can bring a rookie over and help them be successful and succeed. And I was hearing interviews where they said the coach, the quarterback coach, and Jaden Daniels got together and talked terminology. What are you used to? What did you do in college? So he can modify and bring that same schemes, maybe same terminology to the pros so that it's not so hard of a transition. Duh. Why is this so complicated? It's not. You don't bring a player in to fit your scheme. Come on, guys. That's old school. No, you got to work with these guys. You got to help them be successful. And so we talked about Caleb Williams, and it was a mention, but every other rookie quarterback needs this opportunity to succeed. But if they're not ready, sit them down. It's okay. Tom Brady said it takes years, it takes time. It does. That's why looking at Jay Daniels, it's amazing what he's able to do, and his team is first place in their division. Wow. So he's got the weight of DC Nation on his shoulders, but he's not thinking about that. He's just thinking about being a successful quarterback, a successful black quarterback, and a successful NFL quarterback in a very tough division when you got the Eagles and when you got the 49, excuse me, not the 49ers, but you got the Cowboys, you got the Giants. You got, need I say any more? And usually that division is a bruise them up game. Yeah, the Cowboys fell off. The Giants are nobody. You still got to contend with the Eagles, but he's on par to fight with them. And I didn't, and I got to look back and talk about those Eagles, man, because I failed to mention them in my top 4. So if I had to do it over, I would take Green Bay out and insert the Eagles. And I apologize, Eagle Nation, because you guys are contenders. It hasn't been that long ago that you guys just won the championship. It hasn't been that long ago that you tasted the champagne, and you know what it is, and it was with this quarterback. So I would have to put you at number 2, ahead of the Vikings. So going back, it's going to be the Lions. It's going to be the Eagles. It's going to be the Minnesota, and still my dark horse will be Arizona. So forgive me, and give me some latitude here, and I'm going to take it. As my co-host would say, I'm taking it. You ain't got to give me nothing. I'm taking it. So that's my MVP, midseason MVP. It's going to have to be Lamar. And my rookie of the year, hands down, right now. And to lose it, it's his to lose, and that's Jaden Daniels for Washington. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about, we talked about briefly, is the 49ers, because our co-host, our producer is a 49er fan, and I'm a closet 49er fan. I just like how they have run their business up there. Kyle Shanahan, you're gonna have to get it together. You're gonna have to get it together. I think you're too cool sometimes. You're too cool for school, and then sometimes I think you're outsmarting yourself, outthinking yourself. So CMAC is back. I'd like to see you guys run the ball, help Purdy out, get a shorter down and distance for that second and third down, and then they won't know what to do. I'm talking about they being the defense. They won't know what to do. So CMAC is going to help with that, because you can hand off the ball to him. He's going to get 4 to 5 yards. You got Mason behind him. He only got 1 carry last week. So I'm trying to figure out, really, now, who are you, 49ers? Are you going to rely on Purdy and throwing the ball when you really need a good mix? And so it's going to be interesting going forward which identity you do have. So that's my 49ers take, my 49ers rant. And we're going to be back in just a couple minutes. Hard break.
You good over there?
Man, got diarrhea of the mouth.
You had
How far we in?
hold on. 22 minutes.
That was 22 minutes, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, I did the rundown. What I'm going to do is hit a little NBA and let's wrap it up.
Okay.
So it ain't going. Marvin Harrison. Thank you for that. I
Yes,
can add
sir.
that. Okay. Three, two, one, and we're back. So I had to go back and got some help. Marvin Harrison, rookie for Arizona, wide receiver, reminds me, probably better than his daddy, but that's body of work says we got to wait. And so, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. for Arizona, skilled, very good feet, good route runner. So Kyler Murray has the weapons, and then you talk about Connor coming out of the backfield. He looks like a beast. He's running harder now than he has ever run. And Pittsburgh had him. I'm trying to figure out why Pittsburgh didn't keep him. So yes, that's my dark horse, that 4th seed out of the NFC. And thank you, Steve, for sharing that. We're going to hit a little bit of NBA going forward before we wrap it up. The NBA. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who saw this coming? Have not lost a game. Been tried, been tested, but have not lost a game. So who's over there? Well, you got Donovan Mitchell. You got Garland. You got to me, nobody's. You got a new coach, Atkinson. I believe that's his name. So they just got rid of a coach, bring in a new coach, essentially had the same personnel. It's funny how it works out. It's funny how just a change in voice, a change in leadership can turn it all around. Yeah, I don't like seeing people get fired. I really don't. Eberflus, I don't like to see you. I don't want to see you get fired, but it's probably going to happen. Eberflus is the coach of the Chicago Bears. It's not looking good. But yeah, Cleveland is undefeated. So what I was expecting was Boston be a little bit salty, a little bit angry when we talk about the Olympics and Tatum not getting a lot of time. Brown was snubbed, didn't get in the Olympics, and you had Drew Holiday and Derek White getting more time than Tatum. And I thought they were going to come out angry. And they started off on fire and it took a couple of L's. I expected them to be undefeated. I expected them to not lose a game because of just being mad and angry. And one of those losses that Boston took was to Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors. I didn't expect that to happen because I thought, again, maybe it's me, just a revenge match, me being just angry. I thought you were going to use that raw emotion, that anger, and just take it out on the Spurs, excuse me, not Spurs, but the Warriors, but you didn't do that. And you let the Dubs come on into your town. It was in Boston and beat y'all pretty good. So I don't think Tatum had a very good game that day. But I started off in the NBA talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers and is it sustainable? If you watch their games, yes, because everybody's touching the ball. The ball is moving. Donovan Mitchell, if you know Donovan about the Utah Jazz, Donovan, he was holding onto the ball. He wasn't a playmaker. He wasn't creating. No, he's letting Darius Garland, actually create, hold the ball, take his shots, create, make something happen. They're actually passing the ball inside, and their bench is coming off and contributing. So right now, early, their record is indicative of who they are, and they are very, very good and formidable. Can they do this? Is it sustainable? Yes, yes, and yes. Short of any injury, and they haven't sustained any major injury. They're all intact from the starters to the bench, and watch out for Cleveland. Boston, still watching you guys, and I still expect you guys to be angry. Do not be satisfied with just a championship. If you're that guy, that team, get another one. Be hungrier the next year and get another one. Last thing about the NBA, we're going into the Emirates Cup. Okay, what is that? Well, last year was the in-season tournament. Well, it starts tonight, the in-season tournament. And the Lakers won it last year. If I sound like I'm not really happy, it's because that's about the highest, biggest thing we did was win the in-season tournament, which means nothing. It's not even worth bragging rights to me. And then your coach, he still fired your coach. No, as a Laker fan, I want to see you compete in the in-season tournament, but I also want you to compete for every game. Anthony Davis suffered an eye injury a couple of nights ago. He's okay. He's healthy. But every game, Lakers, please play like you mean to win, because you can't afford to get in the play-in tournament. You can't afford it. You don't have that kind of a team. So you need to play for the top four seed in the West, excuse me, and see what happens where the chips may lay, because you need home court. You don't need extra games to play in. So the in-season tournament matters not to me. However, it does count to your record. It does count for playoffs. It does matter. But winning the championship does not matter if you can't do anything with the win. It's like LeBron winning the being honored last year for most points in a career. Yes, great. As an individual, so what? I'm about championships. I'm about raising banners. And that's what we do in Dodger Town, LA. That's what we do. So we're going to wrap up just saying I thank y'all for listening to me. I thank y'all for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We do want to know, what's your thoughts? Who's your pretenders? Who's your contenders? Who's your midseason MVP? Who's your rookie of the year? We want to know. Let us know. Hit us up on Facebook. Look us up on YouTube, Roku. Look us up. You'll see in the credits how to find us. We're not hard to find. Matter of fact, just call me if you really need me. Call me. I'm Dr. Timothy Hoover, and we're taking to the house, and we're out.